After losing to the Seoul Infernal not once but twice, the Dallas Fuel met up with them again in the East Knockouts after coming back from the losers bracket and beating O2 Blast. However, instead of it being a decent match, it ended up being a 4-0 sweep this time for the Seoul Infernal, and I took a look at just two of the maps that the Dallas Fuel lost, just to break down what exactly happened and how Seoul played their comp correctly and caught the Dallas Fuel off guard with their composition, as well as how Dallas fell short of their goal of reaching it past the East Knockouts. Hope you enjoy. So today I'm going to be taking a look at Dallas Fuel versus Seoul Infernal. This is my first time kind of doing this review, especially with the Overwatch broadcast, so a bit of leeway here because I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. Yeah, so main thing I'm taking a look at, this is my first time going over the VOD. I just wanted to take a look at kind of what compositions are being run and kind of break down what's going on, as well as just kind of learn from watching Owl, because I feel like that's something that's kind of been lost on stuff nowadays. Don't know why the replay viewer is not available. I think the best thing to do as you're watching games is just to analyze like how comps are being played. Mainstay with compositions right now is that compositions are kind of ever shifting. They've kind of stabilized currently into preferences and etc. But compositions are always flexible, and like people are experimenting with new things. Now here, especially, we've got mag on the ball, and I think the purpose and the idea behind the ball is that it frees up the backline, right? So while ball and tracer are kind of self-sustainable, requiring very minimal heals, they can probably be topped up from a Zen heal and a mega pack, etc. You're able to kind of put a ton of resources into MN3 with Scoot and Fixa kind of playing off angles or something just to support this Ashe, as well as to take angles for themselves, right? On the side of Dallas, different idea, same kind of concept though. You got Edison on his own lonesome, as well as MCD and Bliss. We're kind of playing stacked. Now you're not really going to see the supports kind of support the Widow as much, because the Widow's going to be playing in this place where ideally she shouldn't get dove on. Now, that being said, this is a map where you'll most likely see Widow and expect it. So the idea here is that you're probably running this ball tracer not just because they think it's a good composition to run, but also because it can kind of counteract this Widow, right? Now you notice, right, I just want to point out these angles that are being taken, right? So since the ball is kind of roaming in this back area, this Widow's not going to be able to play on high ground as much, right? She's not going to be able to play on these kind of locations. So Edison's going to kind of have to rely on his support line and play kind of this low angle. Now why that is good, right, is because much more susceptible to this Zen poke, as well as the ball and tracer don't exactly have to mark the Widow as much, right? The Widow's kind of in sight lines where it's easier to play out of, right? And you'll notice that since we're running an Ashe and a BAP, our Ashe and a BAP are going to be playing this right side and looking to control this right angle, because if anyone's going to, let's say, contest point, like a Diva, etc., this BAP and Ashe kind of have a sight line on here, right? While in the meantime, if this Widow's playing on low ground, it's going to be really hard to have a sight line on there, right? Something to note with ball. The reason why ball isn't being played a lot, obviously got a lot of things in the meta right now that could kind of mark ball, and like a lot of cooldowns that ball just doesn't want to play into, especially when he doesn't have a Diva. But at the same time, ball's not necessarily a good tank in the sense of a tank perspective, right? Ball's never been a tank, right? His job is to play in your backline and dive your squishies, right? Play in your backline, dive your squishies, and displace. That's his main concern. He's not going to be frontlining. If ball is frontlining, he's going to be taking damage, which is not what he wants to do most of the time, right? Now, what that means is that what's your tank, right? Your tank is basically nothing. You don't have a tank. So when this team walks forward, this team has to dive. Now in the meantime, if this team doesn't do anything, this team has to dive, right? Anyway, so here comes the dive in once again with Mag, but Zest is low, so not really much follow up there. Marco's doing a really good job of just holding this Mega, playing around the Mega, and then Nano comes out from Hanbin. I think that's just to stop the push from this left side. So yeah, so interesting dynamics, right? You've got the two Tracers fighting on this left side. This Diva Ana is kind of holding this side right here, right? Diva Ana is holding kind of here, and then you have this Widow who's positioned up here. And then notice this Zen, right? So Zen is playing here. I think most likely he's got his the Mega right there, right? So you notice all the angles are being controlled by Dallas right now. This Zen and this Tracer are controlling this right lane. This Diva's controlling this mid lane. And for the main or choke or whatever, or point, you've kind of got your Widow there. So anyone besides the ball tries to walk on point, you got the Widow set up there. So I really like this setup from Dallas, right? You've allowed your Widow to play up close. Nice shot by Edison. You've allowed her to play up close, play aggressive even, and she's just able to take pot shots like this entire time. And MN3 just can't get to a position where he can get much value, right? This is first Bob, 85% in, and we've just got Bob. Just shows you how well Fuel are doing in terms of positioning, right? Let's see how this breaks down, because I believe they lose this 2-0, if I'm not wrong. If I'm watching the right video, this might be the previous one. I'm tripping if it is, because it looked like the knockout one. So good minefield. This is a good minefield overall. Bliss ends up walking into it, and then the fight kind of crumbles from there. So the Widow swaps off here, obviously, because now look at all the angles that are being controlled by Infernal, right? We've got this entire space covered by the Ashe. It's going to be super hard for Widow to do anything, right? You're going to have to slowly build your way from here to going up here to taking this space, right? You don't want to do that. So the Sombra is a much better alternative. Now I will say, looking at these compositions, right? As soon as you capture space and you control space, Bab Zen, super hard to push into. Ashe, super oppressive, right? And then Ball and Tracer just becomes freed up to take any lane and any kind of control they want, because they don't have to contest point. They're not trying to get point anymore. The Ball Tracer can go back to point if they need, right? So no one else has to move. Ball Tracer can take an off angle and go for a slam wherever, right? They can just control the map much more. So at first, looked like hard swap for Mag. I personally would have swapped because I don't play ball, but as time went on, you know, they trusted in their ultimates, they trusted in their game, so it eventually led them to getting the point here, and we'll see how this flips around for them. Coming out from Infernal, right? Sparkle gets caught out. That really sucks, right? And you notice how this ball just punishes as soon as there's an opening, just a big slam. And even if the Diva gets a good DM on the follow-up, right, both your supports are still 1 HP. It can be super hard for you to stabilize from there. This first map. Oh, no way. No way. What a boop. And a commit from Fuel with the Trank. I mean, it's not unwinnable, but it's going to be really hard with an ult disadvantage. You're gonna wish you held on to that Trank if you're the Fuel. I noticed this a lot with Fuel, right? Their compositions, they run compositions that are really good at taking this first fight, stabilizing, and controlling for long periods of time. However, when they want to push back in, this Diva's super hard, right? Tracer Sombra, I mean, if you get a good engage, sure, but then you're playing Edison Sombra, who's just been struggling so far to build quick EMPs and get good value off manual hacks. It doesn't feel like we're really doing anything, right? It feels like we're just building EMP, we're just waiting for our opportunity, and it doesn't feel like we're actively taking an advantageous state, right? This boop was big, by the way. The boop was super big, but as soon as it's 80%, right? 81%. Sure, I mean, maybe the strength is needed, but I say disengage, right? Because we've got Tracer, we got Sombra, we can contest this pretty easily. Wait for this nano, right? Maybe, I mean, 81%, maybe enough time to get a nano Diva up, right? Maybe some time to regroup with Bliss, but this Trank could be, as soon as you see this Trank used as well, like, you know, okay, I Trank out, I'm out, now we have an EMP to push back into, right? Instead, Fuel take the fight, which you can't really blame them in the context, right? You're using Trank, maybe you're just like, okay, it's our go button, right? I just want to go in and try and catch them off guard because they're maybe not expecting it, but it doesn't end up in their favor. Really just not a favorable position, to be honest, to engage, and just a good disengage from the back line of Infernal. Main differences, obviously you have the Echo and the Ashe. This composition is going to want to sit tight, kind of let their Ashe do damage, play inside of their Ashe LOS. Now this comp is going to want a full dive, which For this first fight, great, right? But as soon as they cap point and they take angles, right, it's gonna be super hard for you to get a full engage, especially with the diva, right? You don't have that Winston to kind of control space, so the diva's gonna fly in, probably take a bunch of damage from off angles, right? Off angles from other sides, and then be forced to back out. That's my kind of prediction for how this goes. First fight, we're in a poking stage. This Ashe isn't gonna be able to take a super dangerous angle for Echo yet, right? We're kind of unsure, like we're trying to take angles to force out this diva before we take high ground, right? Eventually, when the diva's out, take high ground. We do get point control from there, which is super big, right? But Bliss get antied. I understand the idea of playing here, right? But the thing is, for Bliss, like you're gonna want to back out here. Like as soon as we cap point, especially, just back out, right? Because we've got Tracer, we've got Care. You just carry your Tracer. You don't necessarily need to walk onto point there, especially like you know you're gonna get hit with a dynamite or a nade or something. Something's gonna get called from there. Anyways, good map control from Defil though. We have control basically both high grounds somewhat. Somewhat. It's kind of all over the place a little bit. Hanbin might get caught out too. That's unfortunate. Yeah, it's just this control from this comp from Infernal. Just as soon as you get control of the high ground, it's just super hard for Phil to engage into, in my opinion. 3's just gonna play on top of point and rotate off if needed. Right, he doesn't want to get caught up at the diva. But it's just like the setup for the engages as well. Like it's really like you really have to take so much control before you go in, and then we get caught out. And the nano is good. The nano was, I mean, what else can you do? But right, we send our diva, we fly up, we kind of pressure their Ana out a little bit to kind of stall the engage. And that's for the rest of our team to rotate into cage, right? So as soon as their diva flies up, it's gonna be kind of hard to hit a nade, right? We're forcing the peel as well from enemy diva. That means the rest of our team is just able to kind of take cage. And once you play from cage, right, now, well, what the heck are you gonna do, right? So the main thing is you're gonna want to force point with your Tracer, but then again, you have your own Tracer who can go dual, and then the Brig is gonna pack, right? And if, let's say, the diva flies to help, the Echoes flies to help, that frees up your Ashe, your Ana, and your Brig to walk or take space, and it just becomes this cycle of Fuel wants to engage, but Infernal are doing everything in their power to make it super hard for them by playing cage, etc. And then the next step is to force point, but okay, well, then Infernal also have Zest who can also force point with the help of the Brig, right? And eventually, you notice they take a bunch of angles. Edison does get caught out. I believe it was just by a nade chuck, honestly, from skewed onto point, which insane that caught Edison out. Just showed Zest did a good job in the 1v1, right? But Sparkle gets hit with the nano, probably called for it, right? Called for the engage because their Tracer's gone, right? It frees up the Echo a bit more. But at this point, right, you've got the Brig, the Ana, and the Ashe all carrying, right? And we can just kite this Echo out, right? And once she uses Fly, once this cooldown's gone, it's super hard for her to chase. And even if she chases in, this is a terrible spot right here for Echo to be, right? You don't want to push into there, and Sparkle knows that, so he's not going to commit to that. Let's say they have a Winston, right? Now you have a quicker engage from your tank, quicker follow-up with the engages. You have the bubble, so your Echo can stay in more. The Tracer, right? And as well with the nano, you have cleave, so if they were to group into that cage area, the cleave is much better. But obviously, Hanbin's not so much of a Winston player. It's probably not his preference. Diva does work, obviously, but I would recommend an Ashe, right? Diva's really good at just pocketing and caring for one specific person, and it's really hard for your Ashe to get dove on if the Diva's carrying, right? Which, in this scenario, that's kind of the main goal of Dallas. So Mag is just able to care friggin' his Ashe or whoever's getting dove on, and it makes it super hard for Dallas. Bit of an overextension for Mag. Now we have our Brig and we have our Brig and Tracer from both sides, right? Who are kind of fighting point. I will say I think issue here. It's kind of hard to see the with the bit rate. I think our Ash just gets kind of at rotated and caught in the open. Now we do Bob, obviously. So it's fine. I think just honestly, just Infernal just get a bit split, and then I think the ults just come through for Dallas here. The rallies get traded, and then big play from Sparkle actually. I think this is the game changer here. Dives onto the Ash, not the Ash, sorry, the Ana in the midst of the chaos. Gets the pick. Exactly what we want your Echo to do. It especially in these like heated moments where everyone's kind of all over the place. Just pick a target, engage onto the target, confirm the kill, confirms the kill, instant copy because he knows he's getting gonna get shot at. And then the double brig I think is just the main thing here. And a good boop on Fixo, I believe. I think that was off the map. Maybe just a kill. A nice play from Dallas there. You don't really have the opportunity to kind of search for your engages. You just have to take what's given to you, right? As soon as you see an opening, it's just you have to go for it. Now here we swap onto the Sombra, and I think this is where the Echo kind of just full on loses, in my opinion. The ultimate is better for Sombra. The manuals are just gonna be better. I think Honda gets hacked into the pulse, I think, and then the Echo just like, what are you gonna do, man? You've got a Diva on you, DMing your entire kit, and then you've got an Ana who's gonna nade you in a brig. Like Sparkle just can't go in. He just can't go in, right? He's gotten in Hanbit's out of mech too. Good remake kill though. And then you're brawling on points, and this is where you'll do best. And man, just this tight windows, like it's so hard. Yeah, and see, as soon as someone's left alone in this comp, Somber gets a ton of damage. The Brig and the Ana, I think just the Ana actually, I think the Brig died, I'm not sure. But the Ana kites out, walks back in, it's a nade. Diva's, Somber shoots Diva, gets a hack. Like, what can you do at that point, right? I feel our do have a ton of angles here to play from, but Infernal just push one angle and enforce point. Kind of forces Fuel's hand. They have to contest eventually and push out. Edison's gonna go to point. He's 1 HP, dies, and that kind of ends the fight, especially with that EMP coming in. And I can almost feel like Fuel are about to figure something out, and then they kind of just collapse, right? Anyways, so here it's interesting. We're seeing this ball come out a lot. This ball. I mean, I don't hate the ball here either. It's just we're seeing a lot of ball with Zen, obviously, and then we're switching out this BAP for a brig here. Just less high ground, so we're back to play on. So you want this brig for more peel on your Zen. And then Fuel, we're playing the same comp, but we have Sombra this time. Main win conditions are pretty much similar, right? Fuel are looking to get a proper engage on the back line. Infernal are trying to obviously take as much out of Fuel in terms of cooldowns and health as they rotate. As well as they have the ability to engage. They're probably going to engage second most of these times. So if Fuel goes in, if they leave their supports unattended, Inferno are going to go for that. And man, Zest with an early pulse, but kind of ambitious there. So good job from Hanbin and Sparkle to push him out. I think Edison had a hand in that as well. They're pushed off the high ground a little bit. I think the Zen got kind of booped off, so the Brig had to come peel. In that meantime, though, Zest and Mag are just doing a ton of work in the backline, which forces Hanbin to come back, right? So kind of even trade. Now Dallas are on the point, so this is where the composition from the Infernal are kind of weakest. They have to push back in. But and Mag gets caught out, right? So that's the thing with the ball. You get it caught out, you get hacked, you get slept, it's kind of over for you. Even especially with Discord, right? It's super difficult. Ball is back. Comes an EMP from Edison, though. I think they're pretty much aware of it. And just too slow, right? You've got to expect this if you're Dallas. Really good play from Zest. I won't undersell it at all. Okay. But really, really good play from Zest, right? But needs to be expected from Fuel, and Fuel needs to have a plan going into it, and that should revolve around the EMP, right? The EMP should come out way faster, and we should be playing for the EMP when they re-engage. Now, do you usually expect them to recontest? Probably not, because they don't usually have a ball, but in this case they do have a ball, right? Which is one more strength of ball. And here, once again, we're just taking angles. They're at 1 minute now, so they're definitely looking to get something going. This EMP is taking 1 minute long, so they really, really want to get this EMP off. Oh, no way. There's no way that's in reaction either. That's crazy. That is crazy. So the idea here behind EMPing the Tracer is the Tracer's got such low health. As soon as that health bar gets cut off and she's taking extra damage, right, she's gonna insta die. So if we 3-2-1 her, should hypothetically die. Now Zest gets the luckiest recall. I have no reason to believe that was planned. Now that being said, I feel like a manual hack onto the ball first be fine, as well as just shooting the Tracer, right? Where's the Tracer gonna go? The Tracer's gonna go where? Like, Tracer's gonna blink out here, then you can kind of chase. Tracer's gonna blink into her team. Okay, well now you have a better EMP, right? I don't see the necessary reason at this exact instant to EMP her, especially when we have a Tracer Somber who can kind of just run at her, as well as the D.Va, right? Who can contest their supports in the meantime, right? So, yeah, I feel like these EMPs are not, could be better, very much could be better. And we EMP, and now they're like, oh, it's go time. We just use our Trank, we go back in, we use our Bob, right? This is our win condition. The EMP is gone. There's no reason for us to hold these ultimates, and it just kind of crumbles from Dallas there. Like, you're playing the Somber for the EMP. Their menu hacks and all that is great. You're not getting value out of those anyways. You're playing it for the EMP, and now that the EMP is gone, it's 30 seconds left. You gotta pull something out. So a good engagement on the Brig is a good call. Brig should die here. In the meantime, though, MCD is going to get taken out. You're kind of full in, and you're like, well, crap. Well, crap. Alright, and Sparkle gets a good 1v1 in Zest, so friggin' by the skin of their teeth. It feels like it's very like, we have EMP coming up. Let's win with EMP, right? We're going to EMP something and kill, and that's our plan, right? Well, on the side of Infernal, we got conditions, right? Right, we've got backups with our ball and Tracer dive. If they get a good EMP, what's gonna happen? Well, we've got a Trank here. If they miss their EMP, we've got the Trank and the Bob, right? We can contest. Even if they get an EMP and somehow get a kill, we can recontest with the Bob, the Zen Tracer, or Ball Tracer, I mean. And on the side of Dallas, like, we're just looking for EMP. We don't use any ultimates to kind of prep the EMP. Like, if we let's say sent a Tracer in with Nano, maybe, or just even like pressure their Tracer out, pressure their ball out, something, anything to kind of corral them into forcing something, or corralling them into getting a better EMP spot. I feel like that'd be best, because when we EMP'd, there was still someone on high ground, right? It's like, it's so one-dimensional. You're not really used to it from this team. I don't really understand where the planning is coming from. Anyways, it's a good heads-up play here, though. The mid-fight communications and the mid-fight fighting, etc., still kind of elite. Like, you've got two DPS who are just gonna go hard on whoever you want, and Sparkles did a great job there, fighting two. Insane. I mean, it doesn't make sense how they could screw up that bad and somehow turn that fight around. The second half of Blizzard World. Now, I will say, I don't think I've seen Dallas Fuel push onto third on Blizzard World. It just doesn't seem to be their map in that sense. I think they have a really good defense. It's not to say they haven't won Blizzard World at all. It's just, I will say, like, the map control on this map, as well as how they play it, it just doesn't seem to be working in that regard. Like, it doesn't seem to be working on attack. Once again, I think that's like a limitation of their composition and their style, more than a limitation of their talent or the quality of this team. So now we're just taking angles, right? They're kind of corralled onto high ground. Got a bunch of players just sitting on high, and the D.Va on main, right? So your main thing is you're going to be contesting from this angle and this angle, or multiple angles, right, onto the supports. The D.Va can also commit a dive from main. And all the meantime, right, you've got discords on Diva, etc., to kind of pressure her out. When she's out, you can go in, or even if she's in here, it's an opportunity to go in, right? So, or that's a ball. Sorry, I'm thinking Diva, but it's a ball. But yeah, same deal here. You kind of force the ball out, you push in. Anyways, that was crazy. Okay, so Fuel took angles, tried to. I think their idea here is to try and walk their backline right side and take inside. But the thing is, I feel like it's just too slow. You're just opening up the ability for Zest to get in here and get a pulse, and then the Brig also follows up, and the ball's there. Like, I mean, the pulse is good. Like, it's super hard to get that off, but just I don't understand why you're taking that solo angle with just your backline there. Edison Somber, it does seem like he's getting the hang of it in a sense, and you can see the improvements. It doesn't seem like it's a hero that he feels like he's bad on or that he doesn't want to play. Otherwise, I feel like they would definitely adhere to that. But it doesn't seem like he always makes the best decisions in terms of engages, etc. Right? As well as like pre-fight, like what is the plan? Maybe force something with our Tracer first, right? On an off angle, because you can fight that with Tracer. Fight 2-on-1 with Tracer on an off angle. Then you can take a pathing up. It feels like he just goes to his spot, kind of waits there and says, "Team, are you ready? Team, are you ready?" And just waits for like an eternity, man. It just doesn't feel like we're getting much value out of Somber. And when we don't have EMP, it's not like it's very slow build up. This is second EMP in like 10 minutes of this map, right? And the first EMP was basically a whiff, so you're just not getting value out of the Somber like you'd like to. And I feel like he's gotten like 2 manual hacks, right? Good solo EMP on the Tracer. I think that's solid. And we used a Trank to get back from MCD, which at that point you have to, because if you don't, you're probably not going to get into this fight. You don't have to necessarily, but you know, it's understandable. All forced out, and we're just kind of sitting ducks right here. We got our backline playing under, but it's like it's super hard to win from there. Yeah, once again, Fuel just not with a good attack. It doesn't like there's control over this map. We know they're gonna have M3 on this Hanzo, right? We need to take angles. Tracer Somber, whatever, and we get our backline with our Diva. We quick rotate over here, right? If we can. If not, we just play on high ground. Our backline peaks. Our Diva goes from main, maybe, whoever, and we collapse on a single target. It felt like we had one engagement, as well as Edison with these EMPs, right? We're not getting manual hacks on the ball or the Tracer or whatever to force them out or pressure them. It just feels like we're building EMP. We get one EMP, we burn it, and then we get a second EMP, we burn it again. And the best we got out of it was damage on a ball and then a kill on a Tracer, right? Just not getting value of these EMPs. And it's because we don't have the map control or the space to engage on the backline. We're just EMPing what we can get, which is just Tracer and ball, because they're the only ones that are going to be playing that kind of forward positioning. So now let's look at Infernal's attack. And not to say Infernal have been playing bad either. I think their composition strategies definitely great, but it just feels like they're winning off the back of just they have a long range hit scan. They're playing around their long range hit scan, and Alice feels kind of set up, and these dives with the Somber Tracer is just not working, right? The win condition for this team is they're gonna run on something, right? They're gonna brawl something, they're gonna run on something, they're gonna control space, and they're gonna get value out their Hanzo. Now, main win condition of this team, right? They're gonna collapse on one target. They're gonna give space to their supports for them to work, to cook. But main thing is we need our Somber Tracer to be playing good angles, and playing off our Diva engages and aggressing onto one target when they rotate, right? Now what happens here, they manage to get to rotate all the way through right side and push the backline out. And now look at this angle. Look at this. Bliss gets forced out over here. The Zen's all the way over there. Bonbin gets slept, I believe. And the Somber Tracer gets, 50% off the rotate? And now you just lose because they got onto your backline, forehead. The main thing they could have done to win this fight, early rotate their backline. As soon as you see the rotate coming, you know you're not going to be able to contest it. You don't have a ball or anything to go super hard on it, right? You're going to move your backline back, play slow, wait for Hanbin and the DPS to see a dive that they can engage on, push forward. What happens? MCD gets split, Bliss is alone, he gets antied, and Sparkle and Edison just aren't able. They get forced out along the rotate. They don't stop anything, and it just collapses. And now on the second point, it becomes a lot harder for D.Va to work, which is why we're on the Ram. But it becomes a lot harder for this backline. Ooh, nasty one clip from Zest. It becomes super hard for you to get necessary map control. Just because this first kind of area on this map, we go around here. Obviously, there's some angles, right, you can take with the Sombra right here, and there's a high ground up to the top left. But mainly this entire area here is free card space, right? Because it's super hard for you to do an engage on here, because of, obviously there's a bunch of shrubbery blocking off the backline right here, right? The backline has to play basically right here to get anything done, and by then they're susceptible to the Hanzo, etc., and it becomes hard to really play for this first half. So let's see what Dallas do. Most likely they're just going to back off and give that first bit and kind of fight for this first corner right here, which seems to be what's happening. Now M3 gets a pick off on Sparkle. I have no idea how that happened. I don't think the stream even showed it. Just doesn't feel like there's any pressure or there's any reason for Infernal to really need to be doing anything, right? I think Sparkle just gets domed from somewhere. Like, I don't even know. I think M3 just climbs up like a Chad and domes him. Yep. Holy crap. But okay, so looking from here, right? So we've got Hanbin down here, but Bliss is playing all the way back here, right? So it's super hard for him to care this kind of location, right? We've got our Zen kind of out in the open, playing this kind of angle right here. Now, what I would have liked to see from Dallas, you know you're gonna want to go early with your engages. Why don't you just play your backline up, right? Because all or nothing. Like, what's the point of Bliss playing up here, right? He's gonna get run on by Zest. He's gonna get shot at by M3. What's the point? At this point, just put your backline right here. Your BAP, or not your BAP, your Ana, your Zen, on opposite angles if you'd like, but probably stacked up, right? Maybe you're worried about the pulse, but at that point, who cares, man? Okay. We've got our Nano for Zen as well, so whatever. But we play aggressive, play for this first corner. As soon as they come around the first corner, Hanbin calls the peek. We just 3-2-1 peek it. Nano Hanbin, go with EMP. Aggro. Play aggressive. This composition that Dallas is running does not work when you're not engaging. You need to be going on a target. You need to walk on something, because if you don't, this is what happens. MN3 is just gonna ruin your day, because he's a freaking god gamer. Okay, you can't leave this man alone, and your backline is just super susceptible. Because at this point, they C9. Oh no, I can't watch any more of this. I really just can't watch any more of this. And that's it for the review. Everything that was shown here was streamed live at twitch.tv/CajanOW, CAJANOW. So if you'd like to come over and check me out, I do a lot of streams around Overwatch content, specifically doing coaching. I also do offer coaching on Fiverr, but overall, I cut my VOD review short because it felt like at this point kind of Fuel was just getting kind of steamrolled. Infernal were just the better team overall. Hoping to see some more diversity in the tanks that are being chosen, because Fuel are relying heavily on D.Va when I think it's more optimal to kind of flex around. Show a little bit more of that RAM that they were looking pretty good at towards the start of the stage. Hopefully they can turn things around for the second half of the season. It's hard to doubt this team in the long run, but definitely as of right now, Seoul Infernal looking like a really strong team. So it's going to be very exciting to see how far they go in the mid-season tournament. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. See you.